Hello, good evening and welcome ladies and gentlemen to another week and another round of racing in the Dansk Automobile Sports Union F4 Esports Danish Championship for 2025 as brought to you on the premier sim racing platform available only on PC known as iRacing, and we are here today for round 3 of 6 in the championship at the one and only circuit Zandvoort. A circuit located in the Netherlands and a circuit that has been in place since 1948. It's gone through multiple revisions over the course of its extensive history, and the original design by John Hugenholz has withstood the test of time, albeit with a recent revamping in 2020 to accommodate the return and indeed the revival of the Formula 1 Dutch Grand Prix. It is a circuit now with 14 corners and its 2.5 mile length. It's all about carrying the speed from corner to corner and absolutely taking on the technical test that is offered. But which of our drivers today are going to lead the way? After 2 rounds of the championship, it is looking as though one man in particular with 3 wins out of 4 could be the leading candidate in the form of Morde Edrup, but we've still got plenty of rounds to go, plenty of tarmac to be covered, and we're going to be bringing you all the action as it unfolds as we welcome you to this round of racing. On the commentary booth, you have myself, Paul Walsh, and alongside me is none other than Hasse Roma. Hasse, good evening to you as always, and well, 2 rounds so far have been absolutely incredible. We're into round number 3 of the championship tonight, and there's plenty more in store, no doubt about it.
No doubt indeed, we'll be halfway through the season once we're done with tonight's action, so it'll be imperative for, well, all of the drivers in the field to get a good showing in tonight as well. Morde Edrup so far has been imperious in his form. He's done so well, winning, well, a bunch. Is it 3 out of 4 races so far already? So he'll be coming into this race, and maybe because you did a bit of research on this, Paul, and he'll be expecting a little bit less from these 2 races than he would normally do, but we'll get into that in a short moment's time.
Oh, most definitely. We'll talk a little bit about the perspectives of our different drivers when they come into this round as qualifying gets underway. But here is a reminder of the schedule, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, today is Monday, February the 17th, and we are at the Zandvoort Grand Prix circuit. We've already been to Spa, we've already been to Okayama, and after today, we've got Donington Park National in round 4. Round number 5 Caesars goes to the Circuito de Navarra in Spain for the Speed Circuit Medium, and we bring it all to a close on the 31st of March at the Sebring International Circuit, and it will be the US state of Florida where we bring the curtain down. But here's a reminder of the top 10 of the championship standings after 2 rounds, and Morde Edrup leads the way by 5 points on 51 to the 46 of Noah Carlson, and Marcus Olsen completing the top 3 there, only ahead of Victor Nilsson based on result countback. You've got 35 points apiece there for Marcus de Kilson and Sander Bruberg, and then we do have Sebastian Bach, Kasper Rihoy Andersen, Luke Ryman, Asgeir Lauritsen completing that top 10. It is incredibly close, but we are starting to see a gradual breakaway at the top of the stands, and I think it has with the fact we're only a couple of rounds in, for our leaders in the championship stands, they'll be looking to continue breaking away, and there is our leader at the moment, and those eyes are absolutely locked in.
Yeah, but a driver who, due to the winter holidays being on in Denmark, hasn't been able to do, well, he said he put it as no practice himself. I'm counting that he would have had some practice, just perhaps to a certain degree, or to a large degree, less practice than normal. So Noah Carlson, as we saw just a moment before as well, the 2nd to 4th drivers in the standings, separated by just 3 points, with 2 of them being tied on 43 pole. There's still everything to fight for in this series.
Oh, 100%. And talking about Noah Carlson, when we did catch up with him in the build-up to today, he was saying to us about the fact that he felt as though he'd let himself down massively at Okayama with an absolutely awful qualifying session, and that really set the tone for what's to happen in Japan. So today, he wants one thing, and that is to take the championship lead back, and there is no quarter on that. He's going to be going all for it, because remember, he left Spa-Francorchamps after a brilliant round, and will now, in his mindset, it's going to be that he needs to strike back strong as his qualifying session gets underway here. And well, coming on to a little bit about our circuit, Hasse. I mean, this circuit is a mainstay of what is the Netherlands, and it's a circuit which it always gives some interesting racing, because it's not quite like other circuits around the world, is it?
It's a very unique place indeed, and it's a very old school circuit as well, with the walls being very close to the track for a lot of the corners at least, so it leaves you very, very little room for mistake. At the same time, even though it has a pretty twisty nature, it's quite a lot quicker than you would expect, and it's a track where any driver really has to push 100% to find the pace and to really extract it from the car. I suspect that racing might be a little bit like what we saw at Okayama, with the leaders of the pack being in a better place than what we saw at Spa and at the general high-speed circuits. But that said, we'll have plenty of action tonight, I think. And as you said, Paul, a unique circuit, certainly a one that differs from any other circuit around the world, and a great one to have the racing at tonight.
Oh, 100%. And also keeping in mind that with the more recent revisions to the circuit as well, it does mean now there's a lot more camber applied to certain corners. So we're going to see that very shortly as our championship leader makes his way into the final corner. Whereas previously this was absolutely flat in terms of tarmac, no elevation change. With the increase in camber there, it enables drivers to carry all the speed through and be flat out. And we can see here Edrup holding all the way over to the right-hand side to shorten that run to the time in line and using the downforce of the Formula 4 machine there to put himself up into P3. But still got 5 minutes left on the clock and plenty more to come here in qualifying. But coming on to the race as well, in fact, this is one of those circuits where it's just as much of an opportunity to overtake round the outside at a lot of corners as it is on the inside. And that's what makes it a very unique circuit under race conditions, and particularly turn number 1, the legendary and infamous Zandvoort, being one of those many corners. But as we look to Marcus Olsen here, well, he's another driver as well who's looking to try and go strong today. Albeit it was a bit quiet. He didn't give us his pre-race thoughts there, and I think he might just be having his head down. But look at that focus there, Hasset, as well. I think he's absolutely going all in from this P6 at the moment in qualifying.
He looks to be pretty well in the zone. I was just having a look at the provisional standings, Paul, and P2 and 3, Sander Broberg and Malte Ebrup separated by 0.02 of a second. So already now we're seeing this is going to be a close one here tonight. And as you said, the complexes of corners that tend to be the nature of this course makes it so that you can often sort of set up an overtake for the following part of the complex, which makes it a lot harder to overtake than it's just a long straight down to a 90-degree or even tighter bend like that. With a big braking zone where you can really get the move done. Here it's going to be quite different than that. And then, as you said, that long banked final turn, we've seen sort of different approaches to it as well here for Marcus Olsen. He takes the longer way around, maybe because he's coming on to a flying lap here, I would suspect. We're going to see as he flies on into the Zandvoort, the Tarzan bend. Very Dutch, I would say, to name a corner like that. They do have a tendency to be, I was about to say silly. I do know a few Dutchmen as well. Silly might not be the word, but let's just say they have a sense of humor, right?
Oh, indeed, they do. And, well, meanwhile, as he makes his way on through the final corner, here comes Vitas Bever as he roars his way on through it and staying up high there to get himself set up for a new flying lap. Currently all the way down in P19. We've got 20 drivers here today. And as he roars his way across the line, taking a little bit of grass down the left-hand side. So really now getting his head down for a flying lap and into the opening corner here. Named after a cartoon character, I believe, but not quite as in Disney's Tarzan, but a different character, a more local character. And as he roars his way into turns 2 and 3, we're here full commitment every step of the way on through. But the revamped turn number 3 staying very high. They're not letting the car go low, and it's all about building momentum now as he makes his way on to the second half of the lap. And well, it really is a bit of a roller coaster ride here as he heads onwards.
And you can see in these Formula 4 machines, Paul, it's full throttle for so long down to this right-hander, and even here it's a slight brake, a slight lift, but hardly even a downshift. So for these cars, I said it's not really a high-speed circuit. Well, you have to say for these cars, it sort of is. Because they're absolutely full-on until you get to this right-hander here. And such a fun car to drive as well. Alive, nimble, with downforce, but certainly not to a degree where it doesn't allow the car to come out. And Vitus Bever, though, a slight mistake there. He's going to take a... Well, he's going to throw in the towel, basically. I'm not sure he's going to get another outlap out there. And Malte Ebrup, as we say that, Paul, 1 minute and 45 left on the clock. He's just taken provisional pole.
He has, and leaving it to the last possible moments in this qualifying session. That always puts a bit of mental pressure on us. That's a big run wide there from Gustav Wimborg as he makes his way on around. And, well, the IFR Esports driver will know that lap's been invalidated. And is he going to get another in? I think the answer is no, because there's less than 1.5 minutes. There's not going to be enough time, so he will be starting P16 at best. And I can imagine he's going to cut a very frustrated figure in that cockpit right now in where's the number 7. As here we look to Martin Bertelsen as he comes out of turn 6 into 7. He's going to be just about to squeeze this lap in before we do get to the end of the clock. And, well, he's going to have the car in the best possible condition, least amount of fuel in it at this point. And, well, as he swings his way from one hairpin to another in that lovely S-chicane sequence, and now only 4 corners await him as he runs very wide there, just about keeping it together on the exit curve. And Bertelsen leaving nothing untouched on the circuit. He's using all the circuit width and then some.
Yeah, and that was what I was talking about. The drivers really having to find every inch of tarmac to get every millisecond out of that lap time, and you can see that both at the top of the standings, between the top two, separated by about 200ths of a second. And as I said, 2,000ths of a second now separating Sander Broberg and Victor Troelsrud Nielsen, who's third and fourth respectively. Here comes Martin Buch Bertelsen. It's going to be an improvement for him. I do not believe so. He's still 17th on the grid.
Yeah, he stays 17th now, but only 10 seconds left on the clock. We don't think any other drivers are going to get another lap in, but here is how your grid's going to line up for the first race of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Our fifth race of the championship. On pole is Morten Edrup ahead of Nikolaj Pedersen. Then we do have Sander Broberg starting on your second row, P3, ahead of Victor Troelsrud Nielsen. And then we have on row number 3, starting P5, Marcus Olsen ahead of Magnus Jørgensen. And then outside of the top 6, coming on to P7, it's going to be Gustav Killer ahead of Fredrik Sørensen, and then we have Nør Carlsen line up P9 ahead of Kasper Risoy Andersen, completing that top 10. On row number 6, we'll have Nicholas Simonsen, the Scandinavian driver there, absolutely going all in. Of course, all the drivers being Danish are looking to do their utmost, and he's joined on that row by Marcus Tekilsen. And then on row 7, it's Asger Lauritsen ahead of Luke Reimer, who qualifies quite low down compared to where we've typically seen him in qualifying. Mads Luna starts P15 ahead of Gustav Wimber, and then we do have Martin Buch Bertelsen starting at P17 ahead of Jens Christensen. And then on your final row of the grid, ladies and gentlemen, completing our 20 drivers here today, we have Vitus Bever and Kasper Tunstedt. And in the end, only 7 tenths separating 20th from pole. Another close qualifying session, such fine margins, but this man knows all about the finest of margins, and we're here today. He may not have had as much practice as the previous round, but I can tell you one thing, they say practice makes perfect. Well, if you're Morten Edrup, I get the feeling that practice may not make perfect, and perhaps he's just got it from what is the outset.
Yeah, and excuses you could say as well, Paul. He's certainly showing that he's very serious about winning this championship. As they're about to go green, we got the final cast gridding, and in the Heat 1 action, it's just about to kick off here from Circuit Zandvoort.
Oh, indeed, as we wait for the last of our drivers to take their spot on the grid, well, they are all in fact in position, so lights are about to go on, ladies and gentlemen, and well, it's quite a long run down towards turn number 1, but will it be Edrup or will it be Pedersen who takes the lead out the opening corner? Well, here we go. In fact, we have a little bit more time there. The light sequence is not quite going on just yet, ladies and gentlemen, and therefore the tension is building as we do patiently await. And well, all of our drivers right now be itching to go racing as much as humanly possible. But as those engines sit quiet for a moment, nobody wants to rev them, nobody wants to lurch out of position. But we look to the front row then. Number 22, can it make it? What will be 3 wins in a row? Well, the lights are going on, and without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, for the first times today, it's lights out and away we go here at Circuit Zandvoort, and you can immediately see the defensive drive there for Edrup as he cuts over to the inside. Meanwhile, Nikolaj Pedersen looking around the outside there, looking to carry the momentum, but it's a good start from the top 2. Further back, we've got more squad in there. Sander Broberg ahead of Victor Nielsen as they come out of 2 in towards 3 very shortly, and well, as they roar their way in towards the left-hander, well, all the field now starting to go single line stern and left. Looking for a 2 wide, then the battle for P5, and that being between Olsen and Killer as they come out of the corner and now onwards to the long stretch. 3 wide further back there, but as the field and now segues its way through, we've got 3 wide apiece there at the bottom end of the top 10, and it's looking very, very tasty indeed. And that is going to be a very brave move there from Tekilsen, looking around the outside of what will be Risoy Andersen, I believe, and he's just about survived it. They both made it on through. Brilliant racing, and in the end, Risoy Andersen holds on to P10, and Tekilsen drops back to P11, but they were going for it. And it's even more. Oh, goodness me. And a big shunt there. My looks of things between Zandvoort drivers. I couldn't quite discern who that was. I don't know if you're able to see it, Hasse. I think Kasper Tunstedt's been the worst victim of it all, but definitely he came into the scene in the instant.
Yeah, it might have been Luke Reimer, I think, who you mentioned starting somewhat further back than what we've seen him over the opening couple of races, who had a little bit of an argy-bargy there with Kasper Tunstedt. Still Malte Edrup leading the way from Nikolaj Pedersen, Sander Broberg, and then Victor Nielsen 4th. Gustav Kille in 5th place with Marcus Olsen in 6th. And I think Marcus Olsen is one of those drivers who really wants to make more of it, so we'll be looking for him to spring up the board.
Indeed, and as they roar their way across the line onto lap number 2, well, that's getting very, very close there already, coming into the opening corner once again. You can see Pedersen absolutely attacking here. And where he's got Edrup under pressure as they now make the way into turn number 2. Further back, a bit of dust being kicked up there for a driver running wide. 2 wide, they go through 2 in towards 3. Peterson's going to hold the high line through here. Edrup knows he needs to stay high as well to carry the momentum. And now it's going to be the slingshot of the corner. And Nikolai Peterson takes the lead of this race as they head on through what is the long run now up towards turn number 6. Change of place there, but look behind Sander Robert in P3 as we get a replay here of what happened earlier on.
Yeah, so my mistake for saying Luke Reimers was involved in that, apart from just being pushed wide, perhaps from a little bit of contact there in the incident, but it was Kasper Tunstad, and I think that's Eske Lauritsen. It was indeed Eske Lauritsen who was involved in the argy-bargy from before. And as we can see from the live pictures, still Nikolai Pedersen just took the lead with a brilliant move, forced the mistake from Malte Ebrup, and was able to capitalize on it in a very proficient way there, Paul.
Oh, indeed. Absolutely precise in order to take it. Like you say, the efficiency, absolutely phenomenal. And as a result, now it does. I mean, the battling opens up. A small mistake there from Peterson coming out of the turn 11-12 chicane. That releases Edrup back into the lead. And with Robert behind him, Victor Truslov Nielsen also on the back of this pack, where it's becoming an increasing squabble. But this top 4 is now inching away. But conversely, Gustav Killer in P5. Absolutely a brilliant start for him. Keep your eyes out for him, ladies and gentlemen. He's made some progress. We jump on board here with Robert currently in P3. An defensive move there being made by Peterson, albeit I think the best defense is going to be a good offense here if you're in P2 because of the fact so much fight. But there's a look around the outside from Truslov Nielsen, and well, he's trying to help out his teammate for Arctic Sim Sport, and that being his teammate Edrup. But as they roar the way through 2 and in towards 3, well, right now that's going to be a move made from Truslov Nielsen moving up into P3, and Sander Robert falling backwards to P4. But I think he won't complain too much of that because he hasn't lost the pack, he's just lost the track position.
Yeah, and he'll be hoping that they'll just keep on battling up ahead so he can make up those tenths of a second. He's not far off and still well within the slipstream. Some heavy pressure coming on to the back end there of Malte Ebrup, who really has to fend off Nikolai Pedersen just sitting there now. Victor Truslov Nielsen, though, the Arctic drivers, we've seen them put in some kind of teamwork and at least racing each other with that little bit reduced tenacity, I would say, compared to how they've been racing some of the other teams. They've been aggressive, but in no way too much. But it would be a really good situation for Malte Ebrup if it's possible for Victor Nielsen to just sail on by here, I would say. That's probably not going to be possible. They're fighting for everything out here. Nikolai Pedersen, though, putting on the pressure, trying to force the mistake yet again from Malte Ebrup as we're about 5 minutes into the race. Time is flying, and the racing is great here, Paul.
Well, indeed, the race is absolutely phenomenal, like you say. And some of you may have noticed that we do have a 5-second post-race time penalty being awarded to the number 7 of Gustav Wimbor, and that was for the contact we saw at what was turn number 8 and 9 a little bit earlier on the opening lap. But coming back to what we see on our live screen here, well, right now, Malte Ebrup defending on the inside there versus Nikolai Peterson as they come through turn number 1. And, well, you can see now that perspective of our P3 driver in the 21 of Victor Truslov Nielsen, who will want an opportunity to try and get involved here, to try and make it another 1-2 for Arctic Sim Sport. But the problem is he's got to pick the right time to attack because he's got that pressure and Sander Robert behind him, albeit 3 tenths is the gap, but 3 tenths in these machines, it is nothing. That is literally one tiny mistake as they roar the way up the hill in towards turn number 6. They go once again, and Peterson getting very itchy there in order to try and look for the move, but can't find it. Meanwhile, Marcus Olsen has dropped behind Gustav Killer whilst all this has been playing out, and you can see that in the rear of the picture.
Yeah, just about to go side by side again there, and I think Marcus Olsen, was it him with the slight luck up there a moment ago? One thing I will say, though, is, Paul, is they have been clawing their way back onto the lead train, and as we might have expected, a bit of a breakaway from the lead drivers, as we've seen at least at Okayama. We're not seeing it here, but of course the high-speed nature for these cars at this track means that the slipstreaming comes into play for a large portion of the lap here, and of course that helps the drivers following, as someone I think has had some kind of issue. There was gravel on the track, at least looked a little bit dramatic, but a pass there for the number 10 machine. And some close racing here as well, Paul. I think we might be able to have another look at it at the moment. On board we are with Felix Sansel, 11th place. He's sitting and he's seeing he can get the run, but he's breaking out of the slipstream to do so, and that just sort of makes it impossible. One thing I was going to say before, as we have a move on the lead here for Nikolai Pedersen on the outside, he makes it stick, I think, at least side by side they are down towards the opening banked left-hander. It's not really an opening corner, but it's the first bank corner on the track. Still side by side, they are holding on to it. Malte Ebrup, and a little bit of contact there, I think, between Nikolaj Pedersen and Victor Nielsen, which might have compromised Nielsen, but he's actually very, very much in there. And that leads me on to a perfect segue towards what I was about to say, before Paul, about this track and this sort of racing that we're seeing here tonight, where when it's this close and you try to go offensive towards the driver ahead, you might as well just be opening the door for someone behind to make a move on you. So you really have to be smart about how you try to approach the battling with the car ahead of you to not really make yourself vulnerable to all the drivers behind.
Oh, 100%. I agree with you on that. We've seen it time and time again already in the opening 7 minutes of this race. As soon as you look for that move, you make yourself so vulnerable to the cars behind it. And that's why this lead pack of what is the best part, unless I'm mistaken, of 8 cars. In fact, I think it might almost be 10 cars now, all together, as we do have a 10-second penalty for the number 19 for causing a collision. And that is to Luke Reimer. And I believe involved in a separate incident on may still be the aftermath of what happened on that opening lap. We're not quite sure exactly what it's been awarded for beyond the collision. But as soon as we know, ladies and gentlemen, we'll give you an update. But meanwhile, as our drivers roar their way to the end of another lap at the end of the CM.com straight, we're coming in towards turn number 1. You can see at the front of the picture plenty of battling further back as well. There's battling everywhere you look, and we're coming out of turn number 1, and we're looking back now to the second pack of cars as they all fight. And this is Nicholas Simonsen, who's trying to hold on to P9 with Kasper Riso Andersen at the head of this pack, and Riso Andersen being the driver who made all that progress early on in the race and is now trying to consolidate it and gain 2 places since the start. So therefore, whether it's a battle for P8 or a battle for the win, well, everyone right now is trying to push further up the running order. And well, I don't think we're going to see any lull in the action here until we see that checker flag.
Oh no, definitely not. There would be no reason to. I think if someone was to break away from anyone here, Paul, we would have seen at least a trace of it so far. It'll take a big incident or some freak incident maybe even for anyone to really get that gap that they're going to be able to take control of the race with. So far there's been no control really in that tactical sense, at least for anyone. Malte Ebrup is hanging on to it, but by the thinnest of margins, less than 0.2 of a second, down to Nikolaj Pedersen, who has a good run here. Let's see if he gets an... not close enough though to make the move. But we saw as we came across the line on the previous occasion, Paul, 5 cars within half a second. That's pretty impressive.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we were talking a little bit, of course, about the NASCAR-style racing we saw at Spa-Francorchamps of the season opener, where you had gaps that slender and so many cars fitted together. And I do wonder if any of our drivers here caught the Daytona 500 over the weekend and whether they've taken inspiration from that with regards to a bit of slipstream-based racing, because they're all staying close right now and trying to make sure they don't lose the tail of the car in front. And Malte Ebrup still leading this long line of cars. And, well, the battling that's going on at the moment, unless my eyes deceive me, that gap between this top 7 and then the next 5 cars from P8 through to P12, that gap's not growing. In fact, it's actually coming slightly down given the battling. I wonder here, Hasse, whether we're going to be seeing 12 cars battling for the win at the end of this race.
Well, if it continues like that, it won't be impossible in any way, because indeed, every time they sort of attack each other, the slightest, any defensive move is going to cost a little bit of time, and it's going to allow the cars behind to get back and to get closer. And once they're in the slipstream, closing that final second or so is going to be so much easier than any of it compared to that speed advantage that you have once you're really in the slipstream. Here on board with Niklas Simonsen in 9th. There was the second part of the pack, but speaking about battling here, Paul, he's going to send it. There's nothing else to... Yeah, it's going to work in making it really hard for I think that's Kasper Riso Andersen out ahead of him, to close to the leading pack and draw everybody else into the frame as well. There's a little bit of a split there now between Sander Broberg in 4th place and Victor Nielsen. Might have been a bit of a launch about what is the touch between the two. The 5 cars sent wide, just about staying on track, but losing a few positions there. And I wonder if that was Niklas Simonsen in 9th place, having a little bit of an argy-bargy moment there, Paul.
Oh, indeed. Some tempers are starting to flare as we move our way into the second half of this race. 9 minutes still left on the clock, and good observation there for yourself, Hasse, with regards to the fact that we do have now a split in our top 7 pack. The 3 leaders putting away in the next 4 cars. And it's lovely split camera view. Thank you to our broadcast director for this. Really giving you a sense of perspective of how close they're running from an exterior view versus when we're riding on board with Marcus Olsen. What is our P6 runner there in at the number 1. And well, he makes his way on through up towards turn number 6. Well, the 3 leaders breaking away now. They seem to have broken into a bit of a flow, which is, you know what, let's not fight. There's no point fighting until the very end because we're only going to force ourselves backwards. And therefore, it does become that old saying, which is the enemy of my enemy is my friend, albeit until they get to that final lap. And then all those temporary friendships suddenly dissolve away as quickly as they were formed. But as our drivers make the way now, they're absolutely using all the downforce, all the tyre compound, and all the width of the circuit. I mean, it's absolutely clinical from all of our drivers. But can you imagine? They're literally running millimetres to what is the grass and gravel. And at some point when you're running this close, it's almost as if you're in a bit of a trance following the car in front.
I think you are, and having to be this close to one another just requires for people to have a lot of trust and commitment coming into these corners, knowing exactly what the car ahead is going to do. If you're in any sort of doubt, that's going to slow you down much more than you can take, and you're going to lose the toe within a couple of laps if that happens. So it really requires everyone to be on the same page, basically mimicking the actions of one another, and this is also why we're seeing everyone running this closely.
Oh, indeed, and by mimic each other in this way, that's why it's going to be so close all the way to the end of the day in each of these races. A bit of a run wide there from Edrup. Will that cause any problems? No, but put some gravel across the circuit and perhaps also weaken his grip on the left-hand side tyres as he comes in towards turn number 3, but showing no signs of falling backwards into the clutches of his rivals at the moment. Gustav Killer in P4 in the orange machine there, a very distinctive car. It's starting to inch a little bit closer to this top 3. The gap now has come down to what is 1.2 seconds on average going on to this lap. We look back here from the number 22, and we're looking back from the race leader, and that is at the front wing of the number 4, Nikolai Peterson. That is looking at us straight on in the face, and well, Peterson would love an opportunity to try and get along the inside again at some point. I mean, as early on he really went for it, but right now he seems to have settled down quite a bit, but I get the feeling this is the calm before the storm.
He's probably trying to size up Malte Ebdrup the best he can and trying to figure out if there's any sort of weak spots in his armor, if there's anywhere particular on the track will have a larger success than, well, anywhere else to get his move done. We did see him forcing the mistake from Ebdrup, I'd like to say, early in the race there. And whether that was Ebdrup just having to settle into his rhythm, or whether Nikolai Peterson might have taken a few notes from that situation and think, I'll try something likewise to that. But later in the race, when there's less time for Malte Ebdrup to get the lead back.
Oh, indeed, and time is gradually wearing down. We now only have what is 6 minutes, if that, as we ride aboard with the 21 here, and already, as soon as you say about time running out, well, we can see now the fact that a move being made there, or attempted by Peterson, and trying to look around the outside, so once again applying the pressure. But I wonder here whether it might be Victor Nielsen who is in fact starting to put the pressure on our P2 man of Peterson, because they come through to it in towards 3. He's running so very close at the moment. He's got that full trust and faith and commitment that the 2 cars in front will carry all the speed, but Nielsen here wanting it to try and force that move for P2 sooner rather than later. As we're also seeing there, the P7 car, that's Noah Carson starting to fall off of the pack, and well, it does look as though we're breaking out a little bit now as we start to get towards the closing stages.
Yeah, there's a sizable gap that's now developed between the top 3 drivers down to Sander Broberg, Markus Olsen, and I think that's Noah Carlson as well. And here we have the move from Nikolai Peterson. Oh, and they touch! And this is going to open the door for Victor Nielsen. Might just compromise Ebdrup as well. They're going to race each other hard. Into the left-hander they go. But not quite enough for Victor Nielsen to get the run really on his teammate. Maybe backing off a little bit. I think that was Ebdrup and Nikolai Peterson just having the slightest bit of contact. Nikolai Peterson, though, right on the tail of these 2, in no way out of it, but with under 5 minutes left now, Paul, it's certainly tightening up here, and they want to make their racing as on point as possible from here. I think we had a Gustav Kille going off track as well, and that might have been what I believe as well at the cause of this split between the top 3 and the rest of the leading bunch there.
Well, indeed, a lot happening all in the space of only a limited number of corners. I'll be curious if we do get a replay of what happened to Gustav Killer, in the fact he was running quite comfortably at the head of that battle for P4, and then suddenly has fallen all the way down to P12 off camera. We just saw him re-emerging on the run out of what was at turn number 6 into 7, but then coming to what's happened here, that exchange of places, and now Arctic Sim Sport in a 1-2 formation, but Nikolai Peterson still there waiting to attack, and then you do have what is that pack of 3 cars behind us headed by Sander Broberg at this point. point. Noah Carlson and Kasper Rihøj Andersen all there in the run from what is P4. In fact, Marcus Olsen, I should say, at the front of that ahead of Sander Brobert and Noah Carlson. They're the 3 cars. But here's the replay, ladies and gentlemen, as to what happened. And a tiny tap there to the rear quarter right of was Gustav Kieler's car. And I believe that might have been Sander Brobert who made that tap. And I wouldn't be surprised if the stewards are scrutinising that one already. And I can imagine after the race, Mr. Gustav Kieler will be absolutely fuming about that one, in the fact he was looking to be on course for one of his best results of the season, but it has gone astray. But meanwhile, we haven't gone astray from battling here, as now the fight for P2 heads its way down into turn 11-12 chicane, and Peterson thinking about it, benign. If he goes for a move, he is going to lose that leader, which is Mulder Edrup, who will just run away, and it's a very awkward situation here, because right now Arctic Simsport has essentially have this one under their control, it would seem.
Yeah, as much control as anyone's had over this race over the course of the opening heat here. It's going to be interesting to see with the top 8 grid reversal for Heat 2 as well, how that's going to work out, as we're less than 3 minutes from the end of this race. And as we see that there's been a bit of a wording from at least there's a bit of chat going on between the judges as to whether that contact before we saw Gustav Kieler, the racing incident. So I wouldn't call it leniency, but we've seen most of the time when there's been a contact, there's been a penalty for it as well, and maybe, just maybe, for Nikolaj Pedersen, it's going to be the run. He's side by side, or he was at least until just before I said it. Way to prove me wrong for that situation, but Mulder Edrup, now with the chance to break away this late in the race, this might be the aid from the teammate that he was looking for.
Oh, it could be. I think I'd agree with you there. And as they make the way through turn number 7, well, that gap now up to what is 4 tenths between the leader and the second place driver. As Nikolaj Pedersen on the back of this in the all-black machine, still trying to attack, still trying to find his way in. I think he's caught between a rock and a hard place here. Part of him wants to go for the movers. There's a big slide there coming out of turn number 10 from Nikolaj Pedersen. So right now, absolutely on the edge here. And I can only imagine a little bit of frustration. He wants to go for the win, but he knows if he fights a P2, the win crawls away off into the distance. So what do you do in this situation? Do you just sit there and wait for a mistake to occur? Do you fight for P2 and know that's what you're going to get at the end of the day as the best P2? But whilst all this is going on, meanwhile, we do have Sander Brobert and company inching closer as well. So therefore, we could suddenly have what is a growing battle. Marcus Olsen at the head of that pack of P4 through to P6. They are getting in a bit closer as we now head on to what will be the final lap.
Yeah, indeed, and with that being the final lap, opportunities are going to be few that are left to go here, Paul. And I don't think Victor Nielsen is going to race Mulder Edrup too hard. But if he makes a mistake, he'll be there to capitalize. That is for sure. Nikolaj Pedersen, 0.7 of a second off now. He might have overcooked his tires or something, I'm not quite sure. But he's just ever so slightly off the pace. It's going to make him hard. It's going to make it hard for him to get the overtake done here on this final lap.
Oh, indeed, and I think it is going to come down, like you say now, to these top two as they make the way through. And if you're Victor Nielsen at this point, well, you're going to be absolutely glued to the back of your teammate, because if he falls off the circuit, you need to pick up the baton immediately. But that's not to say he might not look for a move in the last couple of corners, particularly that drag race out to turn 13 all the way to line as they come out turn 9 in towards 10 and through up that left-hander for Nikolaj Pedersen. If he settles for P3 at this point, he may as well just stay within half a second in case there's any drama. Speaking of which, a bit of a run wide there from Mulder Edrup, and as they head on down, well, right now that is the face of Victor Nielsen, and I don't think that's a face that says he's settled for P2. I think he's just waiting here to see what he can grab on the final couple of corners. They roar the way now in towards turn number 13. This is the last major corner before it's flat out all the way to the end, and as they come out of that corner now, well, it's an absolutely perfect run from Mulder Edrup. Victor Nielsen sits behind. A drag race to line here, and well, will there be a move right at the end? You see, he tries to break the toe, the checker flag waves, and it is going to be Mulder Edrup who takes 3 wins in a row. He takes the victory in race number 5 of the season there, ahead of teammate Victor Nielsen for Arctic Simsport. Nikolaj Pedersen rounds off the podium there in a solid drive. Marcus Olsen P4 ahead of Sander Brobert, and then it will be outside the top 5. Noel Carlson P6, but what a way to end it there, Hasse. I mean, they drag raced it all the way to the end. You knew that Nielsen was going to have a go at it, but he just didn't have enough.
No, it was certainly close, less than a tenth of a second as the last recorded time we have between them. 0.03 of a second separating them. You were comparing this to oval racing earlier, Paul, and that's the kind of time difference we usually see in oval racing. That's pretty incredibly close. There we have it. Confirmed Malte Ebdrup taking the win ahead of Victor Troels, Nikolaj Pedersen, Markus Olsen, and Sander Broberg rounding off the top 5. Then Noah Carlsen in 6th, ahead of Kasper Rishøj Andersen, Niklas Simonsen, Markus Terkelsen, and Frederik Sørensen in 10th place. 11th is Magnus Jørgensen ahead of Gustav Kildeluk, Reimer, Vitus Beveren 14th, and Kasper Thunsted 15th place, with Gustav Wingborg 16th ahead of Aske Lauritsen, Mads Lunde, and Jens Christensen. In 20th, it's Martin Buch Bertelsen. That'll be rounding off the field for this opening heat. Do remember we have a reversal of the top 8 positions coming into heat 2. We'll have some interviews for you in a short moment, and then we'll be on for the second heat here, Paul. It's going to be exciting.
100%. I mean, what a way to open up our account here at Circuit Zandvoort. Brilliant battling from start to finish. A top 7 pack that ran together for the open half of the race, then gradually split apart. And I get the feeling we're going to see plenty more pack racing here at the circuit in race number 2. But with that top 8 inversion as well, it means we will have some drivers who start a little bit out of their regular positions, and that always serves to mix things up. And you never know, a bit of battling in the midfield could lead to a driver just running away with things right up the front. And we saw that Okayama, but in the end, it was the one and only Mordred Edrup who charged down Sebastian Buck to take that victory. But could we see a repeat of that in race 2? I mean, has there anything can happen? That's been proven already with 2 out of 6 rounds of the championship. And I think here today, still anything can happen. We've got a long journey to go.
We have, Paul, and I was about to quote the great old Murray Walker, may he rest in peace, but it usually does, at least in this series. We've seen it on so many occasions that it's just unpredictable, and when you think something's gonna happen, it usually just throws you a curveball. It'll just play out a little bit differently. I'm interested to see how hard the top drivers are going to be racing one another when coming through the pack and having to overtake those drivers up. If they're going to battle for let's say Malte Ebdrup at least, if he's going to battle for the win here, it's going to be tight margins. It's going to be a hard track to do it at, but it might just be possible.
Oh, indeed, right with you there. And well, let's hear from the man himself, who's now made it what is 3 wins in a row. Mordred Edrup, congratulations on a victory by what was less than 0.03 of a second line. I mean, your teammate almost pipped you, but you managed to hold on, and that's a big grin on your face. I get the feeling you're very happy.
Yeah, I'm really happy. It was a really close drag race to the line. So yeah, I'm just happy that we both managed to get a P1 and P2. So that's really good for the team. So I'm happy.
Well, you definitely sound it. And like you say as well, a 1-2 for the team. It's an absolutely brilliant result. But I have to ask, though, a lot of pressure early on from Nikolaj Pedersen. He kept going at you in the opening 10 minutes of the race. He was looking left, right and centre. I mean, how did you deal with that? Because it was almost as if at one point he was putting you under so much pressure, and there were a couple of small mistakes.
Yeah, I didn't really trust Nikolaj, so I was like half defending everywhere. But I managed to hold him back. He got past me at once, but then I got him back after he made a mistake. But yeah, I was just trying to defend as good as possible. So yeah.
Well, some brilliant defensive driving, and going into our second race, we're going to leave you to it, and good luck in race number 2.
Thank you so much. See you.
Well, I think we have time, ladies and gentlemen, for our second place finisher, and over to you, Hasse, to interview Victor Nielsen.
Victor, a great result, 1-2 for the Arctic boys in the opening heat here tonight, and a close race in the top 3. How did you see that happening from your perspective?
Yeah, really tight. I was lucky I got in front of Nikolaj when he had a little moment. Otherwise, I think it would have been a much more closer race. But yeah, I'm happy with the result. And unfortunately, I didn't get Malte at the line because of So yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, less than a tenth of a second separating you. That was an impressively close finish indeed. You're going to be starting from 7th here in Heat 2. How do you see it playing out with having to contend with all of the drivers that ended up behind you now being in for the second heat?
I've started P7 every time we are going to the feature race. So yeah, one time I end up P3, and one time I ended up on the bad side of the car. So yeah, hopefully I will end up in the top 3 again, get some good points. But yeah, of course it will be really close, and this track it's so hard to overtake. So yeah, really close race. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Victor, for taking the time to chat to us, and best of luck with the race.
Thank you.
Two quick interviews there with our top two drivers, and Hassett, we are now only moments away from going to the grid once again as the clouds roll over here. It's a cloudy day, but not a wet day. Indeed, it's still a warm circuit. The embers are hot from the rubber being laid down in race number 1 and race number 2. Well, now there's plenty of battling to unfold, but have you got any predictions on your end? What can we expect?
I dare not make any predictions, really, Paul. It's I predict it'll be unpredictable. I'll put my hand on the block and say that. I do think we're going to see Malte Ebdrup moving up, but I also think that there might just be some of the chaos that we didn't really see in the first heat that might come as an extension of the difficulty of overtaking here. We've seen it with all the moves that was being made. It was through the complexes of corners and not through a single one. Here we have the grid order. Niklas Simonsen in pole position for Heat 2 ahead of Kasper Rishøj Andersen, Noah Carlsen and Sander Broberg in fourth, with the third row being comprised of Markus Olsen and Nikolaj Pedersen. 7th place, Victor Nielsen, joined by teammate Malte Ebdrup in 8th. They're going to be starting ahead of Markus Terkelsen and Frederik Jørgensen, with Magnus Jørgensen and Gustav Kille 11th and 12th, respectively. 13th is going to be Luke Reimer ahead of Vitus Bever, Kasper Thunstad in 15th, joined by Gustav Wingborg, then Aske Lauritsen and Mads Lunde in 17th and 18th place, with the grid being rounded off by Jens Christensen and Martin Buchberg.
Well, a grid that's gradually building up now. 20 drivers once again, and well after race number 1, where I think you've absolutely nailed it spot on there, Hassett, in the fact that we can only predict the unpredictable here in race number 2. And well, it's not a cop-out, ladies and gentlemen, I can assure you, but it is a story that keeps on giving, and we're going to be turning another couple of pages in the chapter of the 2025 Championship. A couple of drivers to watch out for starting further back. Of course, perhaps one of the biggest losers of race number 1 due to that misfortune. It was a racing incident in the end, because Keeler, keep your eyes out for him from P12. We know he has got top 5 pace here, and he's going to be going all in to see just how much progress he can make. Also, keep your eyes out to the fact that we do still have looking at to try and do everything he can, Noah Carlsen, but with our grid almost set, all the drivers there waiting now for what will be that green flag to fall. And when it does, we will be going racing for the second time here today at the Circuit Zandvoort. But all the grid set, and as you can see there, that front row absolutely locked out. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the Netherlands will roar to the sound of Formula 4s once again very shortly. I do believe our driver's been given the signal that the lights are about to go on, and with that 20 minutes racing gets underway, it's lights out, away we go, and as they roar the way away down towards turn number 1, we're immediately at defensive driving, heading in towards that braking zone there, and it looks as though Rishøj Andersen just about gets the upper hand there as they come up through turn number 1. Niklas Simonsen tries to go all the way around the outside, he's still there, however, as they come in towards turn number 3, and then in towards that braking zone they'll go, but Rishøj Andersen gets it just about done. Move being made there by Sander Broberg, looks to the run up the inside on the exit of turn at number 3 in towards 4, can't quite find it, and it does mean he falls backwards, but here comes another contact. Simonsen attacking once again. This man doesn't know anything other than the word attack, 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 as they come in towards turn number 6 through the right, and he looks all the way around the outside. This is very bold stuff from the Arctic Sim Sport driver, coming over the crest into 7. He's going to go around the outside, still committing. Rishøj Andersen says no you don't. He makes sure to give him as minimal room as possible, and behind right now this is Sander Broberg, who's just watching the popcorn CPU. 2 wide they come out of Witt's turn 9 in towards 10, and Simonsen finally gets a nose ahead. He can just about inch ahead, and Sander Broberg says, okay, well the door's open, I might as well squeeze through too. But my goodness, that's what a start. It's not over yet as they head down towards the chicane.
I think Kasper Rishøj Andersen is going to take the longest straw between himself and Sander Broberg in that battle for second place. They're a brilliant battle for the lead as Niklas Simonsen took it there. There was 5, 6, 7 corners too wide, and a battle that just wouldn't stop giving. Markus Olsen one to watch as well in 4th place. Nikolaj Pedersen up into 5th here. Victor Nielsen 6th. Noah Carlsen in 7th, and then Malte Ebdrup in 8th place. So the winner of the opening heat not being able to make up any positions. Yes, here we have Kasper Rishøj Andersen coming up the inside, down into turn 1. That looks like a done deal. But we've seen it before, Paul. The exit holds so much value here as they're going to go too wide again.
As they roar the way out and in towards turn number 2. Well, here comes Niklas Simonsen up the inside now to the outside. He will have the momentum around, but Rishøj Andersen says, no, you don't, and manages to get... Oh, goodness me, it's gone very wrong, and the two of them come together. And Reese Anderson, I think, absolutely fuming at that one. And, well, we only caught it at a distant view. I wonder if we'll get a close-up of what happened there. But both drivers, well, they'll be out of their cars. And with that, that opens up the front of the field as now Marcus Olsen side by side there with Nikolai Peterson. And Peterson, who finished P3 in race number 1, already trying to take the lead here as he looks around the outside of Olsen. Olsen, remember, absolutely going all in here in the number 1 to try and take a victory at Circuit Zandvoort as they make the way through the right-hander in towards what is turn number 10. And, well, ladies and gentlemen, they come their way through the second of the 2 hairpins in the chicane sequence. Nikolai Peterson finally finds a nose ahead, but I think it's only a nose because here comes Marcus Olsen once again.
Yeah, still with the overlap here, and he's at the inside line for the next one. He's going to take the lead, if not provisionally, then for the time being, which I guess is provisionally as well, just another way to say it. Anyway, that was the chaos we sort of expected for the second heat. Striking at the very, very top end of the field. That was a long, hard battle that sort of turned out in a way we don't like to see it. Is that going to be a move from Sander Broberg? No, there's the other way around as Nikolai Pedersen. He's done this before, trying to take the outside, trying to get the run on Marcus Olsen here. And you have to wonder if he's done it, but the left-hand king might leave him exposed. Nope. Nikolai Pedersen taking the lead from the number 1 car, Marcus Olsen, Sander Broberg, and then Victor Trossel Nielsen up into 4th place. Noah Carlson is saying, no, you don't, at least not yet. He's giving him a fair battle for it as they keep on switching back and forth. And I was wondering if they were going to make it 3 wide back there. Malte Ebdrup, having found himself up into 6th place, make that 5th, because I think Victor Nielsen has gone off here.
Well, you're right. That's Victor Nielsen who's taken a very long trip around there. And the fact he kept his foot planted and brought it back on and managed to rejoin down in P9, that's incredible testament to his car control. No doubt about it. But now he's going to have to get the dirt off. But here's a look back at that instant between Riso Anderson and what was it, Nicholas Simpson. And in the end, I think the two drivers just trying to share what was that same exit line. They're battling so hard. And well, Riso Anderson, I think, will feel as though he had nowhere else to go. But again, that'll be one for the stewards to take a look at. And I'm sure we'll get an update on that shortly, ladies and gentlemen. But huge love to the racing between them. Oh, go on, Hase.
I was just about to say another pile-up in the back of the field there, at the back of the camera at least. We saw a multitude of drivers in trouble. At least that's what it looked like to me. But Nikolai Pedersen with the lead here and 0.4 of a second. That's a healthy gap considering what we've seen so far this evening, Paul. Marcus Olsen in 2nd place ahead of Sander Broberg, Noah Carlson, and Malte Ebdrup now up into 5th place with 5 minutes gone in this race. It's going to be like in the first one, time moves by very quickly when you're having fun. And there is loads of it to be had from just having a gaze at the racing, at the battling, and at the intense action here from Circuit Zandvoort.
Oh, 100%. And here we get a replay of what happened. And good spot for yourself. And that was the car of Asgeir Lauritsen being collected there in what has been the low-speed chicane. And you've got to feel for Lauritsen in the fact that he's been involved in 2 huge incidents now. One in race 1 on the open lap, and then on what has only been a couple of laps into race number 2. He's had bad luck today, but I'm sure he'll recover from it going into round number 4 in 2 weeks' time at Donington Park. But coming back to the present, the here and now, as Nikolai Peterson continues to try and roar away at the front. I mean, what's been quite interesting here, Hase, in the fact that for our winner in race number 1, Malte Ebdrup, just taking it very gradually now up to P5, but I think he's been waiting to see where all the chaos will happen first, and now he's going to start to get his head down as we see there the incident between the 12 and 10 being investigated after the race.
Yeah, to finish first you have to finish, and I think that's the mentality of Malte Ebdrup here. The opening few minutes of this race, let it settle, and then make the moves as the race progresses further. And we had a good, long 2x2 battle there with Luke Reimer and Gustav Kiele still very close to one another in the battle for 7th place. As we see Luke Reimer on the inside here, Gustav Kiele in the 11 car trying to get the run on the outside. We've seen this tactic before, and now as well there's an attack from Marcus Olsen trying to put the pressure on to Nikolai Pedersen, but without any real success so far. Nikolai Pedersen, given that he was so strong in the first heat, given that he finished 3rd, Paul, he's in a really good spot here, I think, leading the race and seemingly being in control. I say that with the biggest possible asterisk, because obviously control. It's a very relative thing, isn't it? And anything can still happen here. But it's a good position to be in for Nikolai Pedersen.
Oh, indeed. And the one thing that Nikolai Pedersen has definitely demonstrated in race number 1 is the fact that he's not afraid to try and take the lead of the race and really take that control up front. Of course, he's never going to quite break away unless his rivals make an error. But seeing him up there right now, Marcus Olsen, Sander Brobert and Noah Carlson all queuing up behind him, but they're not trying to make a move. Now, some you could argue, well, they're trying to be a bit patient, waiting until late in the race, waiting for a little bit of tyre drop-off to occur. But something tells me that Nikolai Pedersen as well might actually be enjoying being the one who's being hunted here. And this is an unfamiliar position that we've seen from a number of drivers. As we look on board from the number 2 at Sander Brobert, sitting in P3, and well, right now he's just sitting in the pack. He's got his teammates around him as well. Got to keep that in mind as well. So a little bit of teamwork starting to play out as they head on the bank of 14, but roaring the way down towards the next lap, and the lap's being clocked up very rapidly indeed. Well, these drivers right now all settling into a rhythm, and intriguingly, I said about watch out for Gustav Kiele early on in this race. He started P12, he's up into P8, and he is at the back of this group, albeit not quite on it, but he's trying to get a bit closer, and you'll see him in the rear of the camera shot there. As the drivers roar the way on around and up towards what we turned 3 and in towards 4, where it's looking as though at the moment at least everything settles down now and just the calm before the storm. We do say that a lot, but there's always going to be some action at some point. But there we can see Nikolai Pedersen get a bit defensive, Hasse. I think now starting to worry about what's coming.
Yeah, definitely so. And well, he would have had a few minutes to worry about that already. The bunching of the pack here, of the lead pack. We're really seeing just how difficult it is to overtake here in this slipstream train, because as soon as you're not attacking the lead car in the pack, everybody else is going to have that slipstream too. It's just an advantage that you don't really have, which makes it so hard to really get the run on the car ahead. And this is where it really turns into a sort of oval racing situation where you have to sort of to really play it smart as well and look to the opportunities that arise when someone else is hampered up, maybe from battling ahead, maybe from attacking someone himself. You really have to seize the moment, seize the opportunities when they arise. But it's so easy to overdo it and to try to force something out that isn't really quite there. We saw that between Paris Høj Andersen and I think Niklas Simonsen, who had that incident earlier today. And there's a 10-second penalty for the number 7 car for causing a collision. That's going to be Gustav Wingborg. 10-second penalty for him. Too wide ahead of Marcus Terkelsen in the battle for 4th place here. Noah Carlson, Melde Ebdrup is going to go around the outside here, the left-hander. No, he isn't. He's trying to set it up, but there's going to be someone in the way there. Marcus Terkelsen with the audacity to just block him off. The championship leader shows no regard for it there, Marcus Terkelsen. And still just trying to see if he can... It was sort of what I spoke about before, the whole thing about trying to seize a moment that arises from someone else battling, and they give a wonderful example of it right there, Paul.
Oh, in the one, for example, I don't know if you noticed on what was his driver camera, that little grin he had on his face when he got alongside the inside of what was Morde Edrup for a brief moment. He knew he's going toe-to-toe as he goes 3 wide there into turn number 10. And right now, Marcus Terkelsen getting himself right into the battle. And we'll give him the fact he said to me into the build-up today after qualifying P20 at Okayama. He won't have a much happier day. He's definitely having a happier day right now. They've managed to get through that brilliant racing. And well, he's dropped behind Noah Carlson for a brief moment with Luke Reimer trying to put the pressure on. Same for Victor Chislev-Nielsen, but it looks though right now, well, he may not be one of the big championship contenders at this point, but Marcus Terkelsen, give him an opportunity to shine, and it is showing you that he is not afraid to race anybody, and it is brilliant racing from him as they head onto the start of the straight. This is going to split the top 10 a bit, as we see a bit of a defensive move being made now by Nikolai Pedersen as they come in towards turn number 1. Onto the brakes they go there, 2 wide on entry, and Marcus Olsen and Sander Brobert now trying to work a little bit of magic here to get under the skin of the number 4 that leads this race. But don't forget about the bottom end of this top 5, because there's so much waiting to unravel as we jump on board here with our P3 driver, Hassan.
Yeah, it seems to be the luck of Nikolai Pedersen to be stuck battling 2 teammates at the top 3 for both heats tonight, but it's maybe with a little bit of a different backstory to it as he's in the lead here. 3 wide yet again, Paul. And I wonder, that's Luke Reimer, I think, coming through. I would expect he's ahead of Gustav Kiele, Vitus Beva and Mads Lunde here. No, he's in 8th, of course, so getting a little bit wrong. That's Victor Nielsen, Marcus Terkelsen, and then Luke Reimer, of course, so my bad. Reimer.
No worries, but that was definitely a bit of an exchange retreat. And I was with you at first. I thought Luke Reimer was still ahead, but it looks like the Arctic Supersport drives a bit of a swap around. Oh, goodness me, it's a big run wide there from what was it, Victor Nilsson, as we stumble over drivers' names, and Marcus de Kilson right down the 15. Well, I'll tell you one thing, he does seem to be a little bit of fly in the ointment for everyone else inside the top 6. He's just finding a way to get stuck in. Luke Reimer right now watching this, I think, and thinking, what do I have to do to get past him? Because right now, my teammates have got through, but I haven't.
An interesting thing to see now is that Malte Ebrup is only a second away from the lead of this race, Paul, so he's really been able to take advantage of the battling up ahead to just claw his way well into the slipstream of that train. As you see him there in 4th place, he's going to be... I think he's going to be licking his lips at the perspective of being able to jump onto the podium here. With a little bit of luck and a little bit of skill. He certainly has the skill, and so far he's had the luck as well. So you wouldn't put it past him, Paul, to be able to take 3rd or better from this race with 7 minutes still remaining. Mind you, 7 minutes. The space and time frame of these machines tends to be a pretty long time. A lot of stuff can happen in 7 minutes. As Marcus Olsen is glued to the rear bumper of Nikolaj Pedersen. Nikolaj Pedersen, though, for the time being, withstanding the pressure. Marcus Olsen really looking like a man who dearly like to win a race in this series. He's thinking, I think, Paul, now being as good as time as any, and hoping for the best, but under pressure from Sander Broberg. Malte Ebrup going to be looking for the opportunity to arise, to sneak on through. We'll see what happens, Paul. It's exciting, at least.
Oh, 100% with you all the way. And keep an eye on, of course, the fact that we've only had 2 race winners this season so far. 1 win for Noah Carlson at Spa-Francorchamps, and the other 3, in fact 4 now, going to what has been Malte Ebrup. So therefore, Marcus Olsen, Nikolaj Pedersen, all of them would love to snag a win, and that would really open up the championship for them once again as they brawl their way down the start-finish straight. And I think that's on the mind of so many drivers here, as we do see a little bit look to the inside for Sander Broberg. Oh, big lock up there, and that was Malte Ebrup going all the way in. Well, he's going to be punished for it now as he comes out the corner. And well, I think the number 2 there of Sander Broberg seeing it coming as they go 2 wide into turn 2. In towards 3 they go, and Malte Ebrup gets ahead. Now, was there contact between the 2 of them, or was that a bit of snap steering from Sander Broberg? Not quite sure, but Sander Broberg gives up the spot in the end. And well, as we ride on board here, if he is frustrated at something, he's got an absolute Iceman of a face on there, because he's showing no emotion right now. He's as cool as a cucumber as they roar the way on through. One is at turn number 6, and based on what you were telling me earlier today, Hasse, the fact that in Denmark it is freezing cold at the moment, I think right now he might be absolutely embodying those temperatures around him.
It certainly looked that way. I thought for a moment the camera was glitching or something. I wasn't quite sure. He might have been fuming and throwing dirty glossaries left, right, and center. I'm not quite sure what happened there. He looked very, very serene and calm on the face of someone who just had to endure a scent like that. And talk about a cent and a half there from Malte Ebrup with tires smoking and absolute full set. I have no clue how he actually managed to pull that off. The 19 and 11 come together, and that's Gustav Kille in the wall.
Oh my goodness, and Gustav Kille's race goes from good to great to disaster in the space of 1 chicane. And well, I think it's going to be a frustrating day at the office for him after a race 1 didn't quite go the way and a race 2 now that's ended in tears. But still, it's not tears between our leaders. That's a quick switch up the inside, throwing the dummy there into turn 1 from what's Marcus Olsen on the exit. Nikolaj Pedersen just having enough room to breathe as they come through. And well, that was millimeters there between the 2, and they've still got this lap plus another 2. And as they come out of what is turn number 3, Nikolaj Pedersen holds on now. Here's a quick replay of what happened to Gustav Kille, and in the end a tap between the 2 of them. And well, you've got to feel for Gustav, because I think in the end he was running out of road, he didn't want to give it up, and in the end he was made to give it up the hard way.
Yeah, but I'm not quite sure what he could have done differently as well. There isn't really any more space to give. It's a tough decision coming up for the stewards to have a look at that one. Malte Ebrup now closing in. We saw that dummy that Marcus Olsen sold Nikolaj Pedersen there in turn 1. That was a great move, but for Nikolaj Pedersen to hang on to it around the outside, get the launch out from turn 1, and to keep a hold of the lead. He has been so tenacious here, Paul, in keeping a hold of that leading position. Just 3 minutes and, well, I was about to say 15 seconds. There it is, 3:15 left. Just a few laps for Nikolaj Pedersen to hang on to it and maybe take a heat win, but he's got Markus Olsen in the number 1 car and the championship leader of Malte Ebdrup both breathing down his neck. It's going to be a tough ask. It's going to be an intense final here for the three of them.
Oh, it is, no doubt about it. And keep in mind, going into today, Nikolaj Pedersen not even in the top 10 of the standings coming into this round. So therefore, really looking for some huge points. But here comes Markus Olsen looking for some points of his own. Currently P3 in the championship coming into tonight. And as they make the way out of turn number 1, well, it's a reversal of the 2. And this time it's going to be Olsen looking around the outside of 2. In towards 3 they'll go. Malte Ebdrup, meanwhile, gets the absolutely brilliant view there. Seeing how it all plays. Oh, there's been his contact between what is Pedersen and Olsen, and the whole field now has to take evasive actions. They come on through, and well, that means Malte Ebdrup takes the lead of this race, and well, in the right place, but Markus Olsen right behind him. Olsen able to survive that one as he comes down into turn number 6. My goodness, Hasse. I mean, we thought it was going to be an eventful couple of laps, and it all has absolutely exploded onto our screens here.
Yeah, I'm lost for words there. I didn't quite see what happened. Seems someone went deep. I'm suspecting that might have been Markus Olsen coming deep into the left-hander there and just mistiming it. Maybe being that slight bit too aggressive. Maybe getting a little greedy. Maybe wanting it too much, but Ebdrup's off. Ebdrup's off, and he kept it going. He kept it planted, and he's still on it. And I think he might actually defend himself, which is incredible enough. Usually when I make that kind of mistake with racing, I'm losing positions left, right, and center. Malte Ebdrup with another level of car control to keep it pinned, to keep the speed through. He's keeping Markus Olsen at bay for now in a minute and a half. Here we see it, Markus Olsen, just leaving not a lot of space there. And I think there's a drive-through penalty coming up, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, indeed. He's coming into the pits here on the penultimate lap. Markus Olsen is going to all but hand the win here to Malte Ebdrup, and Victor Nielsen is going to be there to take second place. So we're going to have well, seemingly at least, unless something crazy happens on the final lap, Paul, here, it's going to be a repeat of the results, at least for the top 2 positions from the opening round.
You couldn't make it up. I tell you that right now. If you'd said to me this is how it is going to end in this race, we've still got 1 lap to go. Let's not apply too much of the commentator's curse here before it all gets to that checker flag. But right now, on top of all this, look at this meanwhile. This is Markus Dickelson trying to hold on to P4 versus Noah Carlson. And Carlson right now all over the back of the one driver who has absolutely been a nuisance to everybody inside this top 10. And when I say a nuisance, I mean in a really good way. He's created some brilliant entertainment. But here comes Carlson looking on the inside. He tries to force the door open here by lunging in, but Dickelson says, no, I've seen that one, I'm not going to fall for it. And as they come through turn number 10, what can Carlson do at this point? Well, he's going to have to try it again, coming down to the chicane as they roar the way now up towards that braking zone. And Dickelson goes absolutely defensive. Carlson pins him to the inside, hard on the brakes they go into turn number 11. And Dickelson just literally rolls the car into the middle of the road and says, okay, right, now we've got 2 quarters to go and a run to line. But as the white flag does wave off in the distance, and well, we look from what is the onboard of Carlson, now looking at the exterior. Well, I think they are going to squeeze in another lap. In fact, the checker flag is beginning to wave, and I think it will be Malte Ebdrup who makes it 2 out of 2 here and continues his run of victories ahead of Victor Joseph Nielsen, his teammate, who makes it that 1-2 configuration, much like race 1. And Sander Broberg finishes P3. Markus Dickelson finishes P4 there, takes the first of the non-podium spots. Noah Carlson completes the top 5. Mads Luna finishes P6. As we can see, Malte Ebdrup there celebrating with donuts already. He's a very, very happy driver. And that's 5 out of 6 wins this season. I mean, goodness me, Hasse. The way he's had to make it happen as the smoke clears, as does his car. He's going to be absolutely jumping up and down in that cockpit.
Yeah, and sometimes you're gifted a gift. And I think he might just have to admit that. I'm not quite sure. He might tell us that he would have won it anyways. I'm not quite sure. I'd believe him if he says it, Paul. But certainly that's being handed to you in a situation like that. And you can't make it up, as you said. So late in the race, with everything to play for, and the drivers wanting it more and more, and the desperation creeping in within the final laps. Then we see an incident like that. Incredible. Really, really, really good racing. Some of the best we've seen this season so far, and that's saying a lot because it's been really good so far. There are the results. Malte Ebdrup, a 2-time winner, 2-time heat winner. Both races tonight, again ahead of his teammate Victor Nielsen. Then Sander Broberg in 3rd, Markus Terkelsen 4th, and Noah Carlson rounding off the top 5. Mads Lunde gets 6th place in the number 6 car ahead of Magnus Jørgensen, Vitus Beber, Markus Olsen, and Luke Reimer, who I think might have had a penalty coming his way. I'm not quite sure. We're going to have to see about that. Frederik Sørensen gets 11th ahead of Aske Lauritsen, Gustav Wingborg, and Nikolaj Pedersen. 15th there, Kasper Rishøj Andersen ahead of Martin Buch Bertelsen, Kasper Thunstaden 17th ahead of Gustav Kille, Niklas Simonsen, and in 20th place, Jens Christensen.
Oh, goodness me. Well, the run through results there, and we're going to jump straight into interviewing our two-time winner at Circuit Zandvoort. And Hasse, over to you once again, because I think you've got a few questions for Molde.
Malte, to finish first you have to finish. Could this be a headline for the second heat here for you?
Yeah, for sure.
It was looking like you were just playing it cool and really taking your chances as they came along. Were you expecting at the stage when you had the incident ahead of you that you were going to be able to fight for the win?
No, because it was really hard to overtake. It wasn't because I was cautious. I just couldn't get past. So you had to be a bit more aggressive to get by, and I managed to do that. And yeah, then there was a crash in front of me, and I just swept past them. So yeah, that was great.
And last but not least, as the championship leader with 2 wins here tonight, this put you in a really good, if not dominant position coming into the latter half of this season. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's nice to have a bit of a gap going into the second half of the season. So yeah, it's looking good for now. Yeah.
Malte, congratulations on 2 brilliant wins here tonight. Great driving on your part, and thanks for taking the time to have a chat with us here tonight. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you so much. You too.
Thank you so much. That was Malte Ebdrup, our race winner, Heat 2 winner, Heat 1 winner, taking a sip. We're going to go over to Paul, and I think that's Victor Nielsen.
Well, Victor, another second place, another 1-2 for the Arctic Sim Sport team. I mean, this time, compared to race number 1, which was a little bit more straightforward, this one had a bit of everything, and I think a lot of it just flashed in front of you towards the end of the race. And Sonny, you find yourself in P2. I mean, how do you feel?
Yeah, you can really say that it was a really crazy race. I think I was up to P5, and then I ended up down in P9 after I had a little collision with Noah. I would say, yeah, he pushed me a little wide, and yeah, I shouldn't have been on the outside there, so maybe my fault, but yeah. And I just had to push and go up through the field again, but yeah, really crazy race, and I just managed to be on the good side of all the crazy things that happened.
Well, sometimes you just got to be in the right place at the right time to capitalise, and definitely that. And of course, now we're at the end of the first half of the championship season. The results have been growing on your end. Multiple podiums now, including 2 back-to-back second places. I mean, it looks as though it's all to play for at the top of the standings. How are you feeling at this point now? There's still 3 rounds to go.
I would say anything can happen, but as we have seen now, Malte is really strong, so I think we all know the guy to beat now. So there's only one way to go now, and that's to beat Malte. But yeah, he's a really strong competitor, and of course he's my teammate. So when we are racing, we just have like 5% more caution to each other because we don't want to end up in the barrier. So yeah, I think it will be a good battle throughout the end of the season.
Oh, we look forward to that. And one final question, of course, a lot of big names at the front today, but one name in race number 2 that seemed to be a little bit of a thorn in everybody's side, in a good way, Marcus de Kilson. We saw you battling hard with him and your teammate Luke Reimer as well trying to get through. Looks as though Marcus had no way of stopping you from getting through in the end, but made you work hard for it.
Yeah, exactly. It was a really crazy battle. First, I had to fight with them, and then suddenly I saw Nikolaj. He had a massive crash, and the RC guys had to go around him, and I just could go on the inside through. So I suddenly found myself in second position. So yeah, I was just laughing with Malte when we went over the line because it was just such a crazy race.
Oh, well, congratulations once again, Victor. An absolutely solid pair of results today. Well done on the double second place, and we look forward to more from you at Donington Park in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you.
And well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got one more driver to interview, and I'm going to hand you over to my good colleague Hasse for some words with Sander Broberg.
Sander, welcome, and in for the final of the interviewees. 3rd place here tonight in the second of the heats. Are you happy with what you got out of the car and out of the race here tonight?
Yeah, I'm very happy with the result, but I also feel bad for my teammate Marcus. He was very unlucky. I haven't seen the incident, but I'm sure he kept it clean. But yeah, we'll see. But overall, I'm happy.
You were in 6th position in the standings coming into this race. With the 3rd place here, you're finishing ahead of all but 2 drivers who's ahead of you in the standings. So a good result for you. I take it as well for the overall championship.
Yeah, I'm very happy with that. Nothing to say about that. That's only a good thing.
And we from the outside, it looked like overtaking was sort of difficult. We had Malte saying as well, overtaking was near impossible, and yet a few drivers actually made it happen. How was your feeling with the racing here tonight?
I mean, I made a few overtakes here and there, but I need to work on the defending, especially into turn 1. I got dive bombed a few times, so that was really the only opportunity to overtake, really. So yeah, it's very difficult on this track, that's for certain.
And Sander, coming into Donington in 2 weeks' time, do you think it's going to be different there?
I mean, there is. I think there is more like the big braking zones. I think there is more of those. I can't really remember, but I think I'm excited.
Well, congratulations, Sander, on a strong podium place here in Heat 2 for tonight. Thank you for taking the time to have a bit of a chat with us, and we'll let you go.
Thank you.
Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen, hearing from our top 3 finishers in our 2nd and final race today. That was round 3, and as quickly as it started, it's concluded. I mean, how quickly those races go by. But what brilliant action. And, well, each week we say it gets better and better, but this round we saw things absolutely turned up to 11.
Well, in the best Spinal Tap sort of fashion you could possibly imagine, it was incredible, Paul. And the incidents in Heat 2 at the lead of the race as well, we haven't really seen too many of those. I think we really saw some desperation creeping in just due to the sheer difficulty of the overtaking here at Zandvoort. And it certainly created the drama and the unpredictability that I was talking about as well, tended to come alive and to fulfill itself. And it was a great watch indeed. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as we've done, because my heart has been beating at a healthy heart rate throughout this race, I dare say. It's been a good one.
Oh, 100% with you there. And I mean, that concludes the first half of the 2025 Championship campaign. But don't fret, ladies and gentlemen, because in 2 weeks' time, we continue the story by going to the beating heart of British motorsport, that is the Donington Park National Circuit. Save the date and the time, the 3rd of March, 2025, and that will be 8 o'clock in the evening at Central European time. But for now, we have been what's been the Dansk Automobile Sports Union F4 Esports Danish Championship, and we will be back in 2 weeks' time. From the commentary booth, it has been myself, Paul Walsh, and Hasse Roma, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Until then, stay safe, stay well, stay smiling, and most importantly, as always, ladies and gentlemen, stay on track. Good night.